We're back for another episode of the Capes and Tights podcast on capesandtights.com. I'm your host, Justin Soderberg. Today's guest is Paul Eaton, guest co-host extraordinary. He's on here quite often. We're here to talk She-Hulk season 1 on Disney Plus, amongst other things. We talked a little bit about Charles Soule's stop by his comic book shop this weekend, as well as other stuff towards the end. But the bulk of it's about She-Hulk and the television show that just premiered or just wrapped up on Disney Plus over there. So check it out, but check us out on Facebook and Instagram and on Twitter as well, and visit capesandtights.com for a wide range of articles and posts on different things, reviews, news, opinions, best lists, all that stuff. So check it out. This is Galactic Comics owner Paul Eaton and myself talking the She-Hulk television season 1 on Disney Plus here on Capes and Tights. Enjoy, everybody. Welcome to the podcast there, Paul Eaton of Galactic Comics and Collectibles, Bangalore #1 comic book store.
3 years in a row, baby. 3 years in a row. Bangor's #1 comic store.
And people who are not from this area usually hear us say that, probably joke like, is there more than one?
Yes, I do have competition.
Technically, is 3.
Yeah. And we talked in a previous one, that category still includes like big box stores too.
Yes. So yeah, you get your BAMs and technically Bull Moose thing still sells. Don't they sell comic books?
Yeah, because they sell the trades and stuff, so they still considered. Yeah, they're in the drop down of like options, I guess. You get
but you're also like Bangor area. I mean, if you think about it, the closest store to you outside of Bangor is Waterville.
Yes, although one just opened in Old Town. I got to go check out to see. I think it's a card and collectible store, not a comic store. I know the owner is a really nice guy, and I got to go up and go say congratulations on getting the storefront done and like just check out the shop.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if they have any comics or not, but yeah, outside that, this one's Waterville, which is what, 45 minutes away?
Yeah, so it's a pretty good area of your comic book shop footprint.
Yeah, absolutely.
And before we get started on today's topic, you had a special guest in there this week. We
did have a special guest this week. Saturday, we got to meet Charles Soule, who came in. Really nice guy, put up with all of my crap.
And technically my crap, too, that I actually physically dropped off.
So we stopped in. I didn't want to I didn't want to bug him. I didn't want to be that guy. So I love the first thing he did is check out the trade rack of our featured trades and grab some trades off the rack. And then he put them down and he goes, look, I do want to buy these. He said, but I'm a comic creator. And I said, yeah, I know who you are. I said, I didn't want to be that guy and bother you. So he saw us, no bother at all. So he signed all the books that were on this week's rack that were his. And then off your recommendation idea, he signed the wall. So Galactic Comics is now signed by Charles Soule, which is dope.
I know CGC won't do that, but do you think CBCS will do?
We get CBCS to authenticate the wall.
Actually, if Bangor Comic and Toy Con comes to or has PSA, whatever, what was it came out last thing? JSA. If they come this year, we should try to rope them into coming to your store. In authenticating your autograph on your wall, so you have something.
Yes.
You might actually be like one of the few, if only, authenticated walls.
That'd be cool.
Because I don't think people usually do that, but it'd be kind of funny to have that. Even if you didn't display it, you just put it in the back, and they put a little JSA sticker next to it so they know it's authenticated. But so I dropped off.
Yeah.
Some stuff to get signed. So Charles, that was a funny one. So Charles Soule, one of our favorites, with 8 billion genies, curse words, and many more Star Wars. We can go on and on and on.
So many more.
My wife loves his novels. He's a really good author as well, and just an overall cool dude. And so I was just scrolling through Instagram like I tend to do, and I was like, "Oh, cool! Wait, the hell? It's Charles Soule in front of Stephen King's house saying." I finally got a chance to go to Stephen King's house, take a picture and I was like 3 hours ago, and I'm like, "What the hell?" So I screenshot it, sent it to Paul. I was like, he's in Bangor, and Jay Cochran of the Bangor Comic and Toy Con, also our tattoo artist and friend, had mentioned that I wonder how many times it actually does happen though in the Bangor area. Like famous people happen to just like maybe fly into Bangor International Airport as a connecting or come up here or driving to Canada or visiting Maine, just, going to Portland, like, oh, we'll drive a couple hours north. and take a picture in front of
Acadia.
that. Yeah. Oh yeah. And take a picture in front of Stephen King's house.
Without going to Bangor first.
Going to Bangor. Yeah. It's a long way without doing that one. And then we just don't see it. And I said, that's actually got a good point. Cause like, let's be honest, Charles probably went through the entire city of Bangor, probably stopped by Bagel Central or something in downtown Bangor. And no one had any idea who he was.
No,
and obviously someone else of more fame or more visual fame that does not written in comic books or books. Like you don't get to see this guy that often.
He could have, I mean, for all we know, he could have had beers at OBC.
Yeah. Well, it was kind of funny when I left your shop on Saturday. When I left your shop on Saturday and he had said on Instagram that he was planning on stopping by the shop, I said, wouldn't that be funny if I got to work in Orono and I'm just talking to some people, the bartenders, and he walks in.
Right.
In my mind, I was like, that would be kind of funny that I stopped by your spot. Maybe he'll stop in when I was there.
Did all of that.
But that he would have seen him at Orono Brewing Company, but I left the comic books at your spot. So then he still would have had to go get this. So I was like, oh, I really hope he doesn't stop in because that's going to be really awkward. But he didn't, obviously, or he may have. I just didn't see him. But then he stopped by our good friend Jabron's shop downtown Bangor, Briar Patch, who has his novelizations of things like the Star Wars books and Anyone and Oracle and on and on and on. So that was a really cool experience this weekend to see someone of Charles' stature. Let's be honest, he has very, 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 very large resume of very, very, very popular things. So
absolutely,
that's 100%. Really cool. So that was really cool. I got a couple books signed. Paul wasn't nice enough to have him sign those, and then that was a cool experience for sure. It was out of nowhere.
Yeah, totally unexpected. So cool.
This is not like when we have Bob or Joe or anybody stop by the shop on purpose.
Right, where we invite them and plan on it. Yeah.
And not that any of the other artists or creators that have stopped by your shop, because you have had a few, aren't worth it. It's just the fact that, like, in our geekdom, in your industry, our industry of the comic book podcast, this was a pretty big name to come into your shop.
Yeah. So I was trying to think of like the top people that would be my dream, like, comic creators to meet and have come in the shop, and he is the top 3.
Yeah.
So now that leaves James Tynion and Scotty Young, and if all 3 of those would sign the wall, then I think my dreams are complete as a comic store owner.
And I think the other cool thing around it is not the simple that they came to a Bangor Comic and Toy Con event in Bangor and happened to stop by your shop. This is not connected. It was just 2 weeks after Weekend of the Wicked. So this is not even anywhere close. Like, there's no reason other from just visiting Bangor for Charles Soule to be in Bangor. So that's the even cooler part, in my opinion. Like, if you had a creator that came to, if you had the Losers Club come to Bangor Comic Con and Toy Con and then stop by your shop before they left town, that's not crazy. You know what I mean? That's not unusual. They're in town. You knew they were there, so on and so forth. To actually wake up or go to bed on Friday night having this conversation and then wake up Saturday morning and find out he's going to stop by your shop that day. That's cool. I mean, it was cool for us to know that he was going to, so you could expect potentially to see him.
Yes, absolutely.
So you could keep an eye out for him. Because it's also excited. Like, let's be honest. I mean, not that Charles is ever going to listen to this, but he's not the most unique looking person. So it's not like, if Scotty came in, I would 100% recognize Scotty.
Right, I would recognize Scotty. I showed my wife, I just finished Something's Killer Children Volume 5, and I showed my wife a picture of James Tynion in the back of it. I'm like, he could walk into the shop and I'd never know.
Yeah.
Like, I'd be hard pressed to know it was him. And
I mean, you might think it's him, and I feel like he looks a lot like Joe Hill too. So it's like they could come in, you could be like, oh, it's not Joe. Never mind.
Nope, that's right. And Scotty Young, I think, only because of our passion of his artwork and the amount of stuff I've watched him do would be the only reason I know. But at the same time, like, how many large men come in here with big beards that, like, if you didn't know, you could be like, was that Scotty Young? Was that Scotty Young? Like,
and the fact that he's got more of the I would say along the lines of him and like Donny Cates have that like punk feel to them, whereas like Charles Soule is a well put together, like, he probably drives a BMW. Like, it's just like this, you know what I mean? Like, has this business person kind of aesthetic to him.
Yeah, very much. He was very, very friendly, very easy to chat with. He was very comfortable to chat with, which was nice. I appreciate it.
So I sent him an email, Paul.
Okay.
On Friday night, inviting him on the podcast. So this would be great if he actually comes on at some point, because I can have this conversation and laugh about it again too. So if you're listening to this podcast, because Jabron also pumped him full of Capes and Tights information, at the stop, then come on, let's read your email and come on the podcast. Hell, Paul can jump on for a few minutes with us and have a conversation about how the fun. Maybe Paul, you and Jabron can come on and we can have this discussion about Charles Soule's visit to Bangor. He can give us a breakdown of his visit to Bangor, not any more than that. Just like, hey, how was Bangor? How'd you like it?
Yeah.
What did you find the books you were looking for?
What did you find exciting or noteworthy while you were here?
Other than the coolest Bangor or coolest comic book shop in the Northeast. I'm going on and on and further than this.
Baby. Oh, we're growing. Well, we're trying to grow.
You're I guarantee you right now, I will put money on the fact that you're the only comic book shop in the Northeast with Charles Soule's signature on the wall.
Yeah, I'd be willing to take that gamble.
I mean, there's comic books in people's shops, but on the physical paint and plaster and drywall of the wall, Galactic Comics and the Collectibles. You're going to put that in your bio on Facebook and Instagram?
The only comic store in New England, signed. Wait until it's authenticated.
Yes, yeah. But so we can sit here and talk all day about how fun that was, and that experience was cool. And it's just cool to see that you were planning on coming on the podcast. So we had this opportunity to talk about it in a recording, as well as us having a quick drink on Saturday and talking about it as well after I just missed him at the shop.
Were like minutes late.
Yeah, which is funny because you know me, I changed positions at my day job, so I haven't worked a Saturday in a year. And it happened to be this is the Saturday that I had to be working. Saturday. I couldn't just hang out at the shop all day.
Yep.
But it's all good. I don't know if my wife would have let me anyway, so it's not. However, it is closer from here to your shop than it is from Orono to your shop. And so if you would have said he's here, I probably would have made it. Whereas in Orono, I had to grab my stuff and I had to pack up. I had to leave. And so that's the reason why I missed it. So if I was home, at least I would have been able to come over,
shoot over
and see them. And maybe I could have gotten a photo because I could have just put Nova in it and be like, oh, he just wants to take a picture with you.
Using the baby for it. Good call. Yep.
And my wife absolutely loves my new NASA astronaut thing for his room.
Awesome. Joe. The G.I. Joe.
Yes. And it's a really cool one because the actual NASA astronaut G.I. Joe one is a different one has reflective.
Yes, the original one. I have that one. And the suit is, it was made in the 60s.
Yeah.
It's a weird material. It's kind of almost like your insulated bag material turned inside out. Yeah,
But I like this one better. I for some reason, I don't know. I don't know if it's like the traditionalist part of it, like the need of you picture an astronaut on your head.
Authentic, yeah. To what an actual spacesuit is, and it is. It's padded and it's thick and like his gloves are cool. I like the way I had him. It's neat that he came with the Life magazine, the mini Life magazine, and he's holding it of himself. Like it's cool. Awesome. That's definitely a really cool figure.
I meant to send you a picture of it up on the shelf. I'll send it to you after we're done. But that was fun. So that was a good experience this weekend. But we're here to talk about. So I wanted to preface this because Paul is having me read. I'm part of the Galactic Comics and Collectibles graphic novel club, right? We read book club. We read a book every month.
Maybe we should officially change it to the graphic novels club.
Yes, I think you
should. No, we don't read graphic novels. We read trade paperbacks. That's a whole other.
But even that, I mean, it's they're not all paperback either. Sometimes they're very hardcover.
That's true.
So Paul, last month we read Witches. It was first reading for me as well. Or you read it before? First reading for me.
I read it previously. Yep.
This month we're reading Batman: The Long Halloween, and again, you have read it before. It's the first reading for me, which is cool. So the first two books in the club, brand new. I'm excited for that. Paul already knows my not so much love so far for the book. I'm not a big DC fan, as everybody who listens to this podcast or reads it.
I finished mine again yesterday.
But I was laughing because I'm like, okay, you are having me read Long Halloween. Okay.
Yes.
I not forced you to, but probably pushed you along a little bit here on when you would actually encompass watching this television show by forcing you to come on and talk about it. So you might have been like, I'll get to it at some point, but I was
my wife was really enjoying it, so that got me watching it some more too. So I had there was a couple of shows we could have had that definitely would have forced me to get into watching.
Well, the thing is, you could have been like, I'm not watching this anymore because you didn't you could have just been like, I don't care. I own a comic book shop. I don't need to watch it. I just don't want to watch it anymore. If you didn't like it that much. But with this, you kind of like it. One of the reasons why I do like doing some reviews and talking about things in the podcast is it does force you to watch the entire thing and somewhat pay attention to it so that you can talk about it afterwards. But we're here to talk about She-Hulk.
My first note on She-Hulk was if this was my podcast, like the Galactic podcast, this one's title would be I enjoyed this show so much, but because as I kept taking notes, everything was a but, and I'm like, wow.
Here's my question.
Okay.
Obviously, spoilers to anybody. Is the picture you would use for the thing, would it be She-Hulk twerking because it's a butt? And would the butt be B-U-T-T?
It'd be the perfect imagery, right, of it.
I understand what you're saying about this. And my biggest starting point on this is I have to do my defend the Marvel Cinematic Universe moment for a second here, okay? Because well, here's the deal. I was not a humongous fan of this show, and I'll admit that from the beginning. I was not oh my gosh, every week I've got to watch this episode of this TV show. It was like, cool, I want to get my MCU fix, so I'm gonna watch it. Okay.
Right.
And it's one of the reasons why I haven't started Andor yet. I'm gonna kind of like catch up on that, is because if I started watching Andor, that probably would have been so much better of a show for me that it would have like even made this even smaller in the world of what I want to watch. But my defending the MCU part of this is we are now 29 films, and I don't remember what 5-6 shows in.
Oh God, at least that, right?
We're up to let's say 35 as our estimate of how many projects so far the MCU has in its thing in what 14 years.
Right.
Everything can't be a home run. I'm sorry. I hate to say this, and I hate to be like a defensive, like you want it all to be that way. Everything can't be a home run. And on top of that, Paul, your TV shows aren't going to be as good as your films. They're not. The only reason I say that is because if it's good enough to be a blockbuster home run of a TV show like a Breaking Bad or Game of Thrones or anything like that, it would be a film.
Right.
Because
I
that's just the way it is.
Shows, they should. I almost feel like I enjoy the shows and should enjoy the shows more because I have, let's say, 6 hours of development to go over instead of that hour and a half to 2 hours or so. You know, you have so much more time to expand and get more depth to it that I should enjoy it more. Now, I will say, in defense of She-Hulk, right, as we haven't even discussed it yet, but in defense of She-Hulk, I liked it a hell of a lot more than I liked Thor: Love and Thunder. Well,
that's the thing. So if you actually honestly put it in there, this is a comedy. This is a comedy. Like 100%. The first word for describing it is a comedy, right?
It's a comedy. It's a drama. But I enjoyed it more than that. I have yet to finish Moon Knight because I just stopped caring. Like, I don't care what's going on in it. She-Hulk, I was like, okay, yeah, we'll watch another. You know, every week we didn't watch it right when it came out. We had a few episodes and we watched one episode a night until we caught up. And then every week we did watch She-Hulk, my wife and I. And my wife really enjoyed it.
My wife did too. So that's huge to me too. Speaking on that really quickly is having your non-humongous diehard comic book fans liking something is I hate to say it, Marvel and Disney are a business. They've got to get people to watch their stuff. So having someone like your wife or my wife watch it and like it, they checked their box off and did what they were supposed to do over there at Disney and Marvel.
3 different people, all which I thought were really interesting, were all young adult females, came into the shop looking for She-Hulk books because of this. They bought comics, they bought trades. They were interested in the character without previously showing interest thanks to the show. So if that's the case and we have introduced new young readers and gotten more people interested in the stuff that we love, then it worked, right? Then She-Hulk worked in and of itself, problem solved. Like, it gained more following. So that's great.
So let's start off with this. Let me just go back on this really quickly because I try to make some sort of format in these review episodes, but I don't usually just start just blabbering, which is fine. But it was 9 episodes, which is, again, love that. I'm a big fan of 9 episodes. And here's the deal. It's a 9 episode, 30 to 38 minute episodes. So you see, normally we've seen the 9-10 episodes. Like I just rewatched Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul. Those are like 10 episode seasons, but they're 45 minutes to an hour. Like those are you see that. A 30-minute episode usually is your 20 episode seasons, 26, 9 episodes. I was happy about that. It's something, again, like a short, like we talk about, like a 5-part mini series, how you can commit to it. You can say, okay, you know what? I could do this, whether I like it or not. I can watch 9 30-minute episodes. That's fine. Right. Jessica Gao is the creator of the show. She also has written an episode of Rick and Morty, which, again, comedy.
Yeah.
In Silicon Valley, she did an episode, which again, comedy, very good shows, awesome shows. I thought Tatiana Maslany was amazing as her. I think she is different than anybody else, but she's a very attractive person to be like. I almost feel like you need that the Shrek aspect of it. Whereas like you have to have that person who's super attractive, so when they become the Hulk and they're not so attractive, it's even more of a drastic change.
Right.
Like if you had someone who was, you know,
which is
not
funny
so
because,
attractive become Hulk, you're like, okay, they're just green versions of themselves.
Right. Which is funny because in this, she's sort of like the nerdy girl who's not really comfortable in her own skin. And when she becomes a Hulk, that's when she's the beauty. Right. It was like the reversal, which I really enjoyed. And it was funny because, like I said, I really enjoyed this show. But as I made my notes about it, it was constantly negatives that I was writing. And I don't know what that is exactly, why it goes that way. And I definitely feel like watching it, the first episode, I was like, oh, okay, all right. And the next episode, I'm like, well, I'm interested to see what keeps happening. And meanwhile, like I said, my wife was like instantly on board. But as I kept going, I would tell anybody, watch those first episodes, and I think you'll get interested, because I did really enjoy her character. I felt for her. Yes. I like the story about how she switches back and forth, and she does it at will. You know, it's not like Bruce with the anger and he doesn't have a choice. He turns into Hulk. But how she ultimately kind of likes that version of her, and then feels bad that people like that version of her, not her regular self.
In the the starting off, you mentioned the first couple episodes, the idea of quick 5-10 minute origin story. Done. This is how it happened. This is what's going to happen. The joking about how like stress and like whatever, and she's like, well, that's just being a woman, was funny. Right. And then her basically Hulk, Bruce Banner, mansplaining to her about how to be a Hulk, and she's like, I got this. Like, come on, this is different for me than it is for you. We can tell that now. All those things at the very beginning set you in a tone that she is going to be a leader in this show. And that you don't really need to know much. Like, that's the big thing about you and your wife and my wife is that, or anybody who doesn't know comic books that much, is like they explained how she became She-Hulk quickly. Done. And then any of the other characters, okay, Tim Roth as Abomination, we haven't seen him in 14 years in the MCU. But they kind of give you a little bit of backstory how he fought Hulk. You didn't really need to see Incredible Hulk to see this.
Got arrested. Right.
And then Mark Ruffalo as Bruce Banner, it's like, okay, you kind of understand, and he explained that kind of at the beginning that my cousin Hulk, But like, other than that, all the other characters that come in there, you don't really need to know a big backstory of, or if this B characters that they put in there, there's not many people out there who know their freaking backstory in general. Even huge comic book fans won't know, you know, the people, Man-Ball and all that stuff. Like, you don't know, you don't need to. And that's the cool point about it, is it's a very approachable show, like you mentioned. It's a show that you can encapsulate into something and not have to be like, we talked about reading books for our book club that you have to know a lot about the behind it.
You don't you didn't have to. No, absolutely. You could just watch this. They did a very good job of introducing you to it quickly to anyone who didn't have a background to MCU or a background to Marvel Comics and be able to get it.
And the only thing I would say that you have to kind of know is the fact that she breaks the fourth wall in the comic books. I think that's one of those things that people need to have like a little bit of a preface at the beginning.
Because it was, that's definitely an interesting off item that
But if people are fans of like The Office,
right? Like like Jim's looking at the camera,
you're gonna get that, so it's not unusual. And Deadpool fans, like, you get that Deadpool also breaks the fourth wall,
right?
But She-Hulk was one of like the originals that did this too.
Right.
So you said everything but. So now that we're on I want to quickly on the breaking on the fourth wall.
Yeah.
You said everything but. Do you think there might have been a lot at the beginning of breaking the fourth wall? Because in the first episode, she talks to the camera and explains everything. A few little snippets here and there, and then a lot in the season finale. So, like,
in my personal opinion, too much.
Yes. It was basically she lived most of the 30-minute episode outside of the fourth wall.
The show.
Yeah. So that's one of those ones I would agree with you. It was really good, but like, it's really cool to see that, because I kind of like that. And another person I know talked to me says they didn't like it at all because you live in this world as Iron Man and Hulk and all these people are in this fictitious world that's supposed to be real. And when they start talking to the camera, breaks the fourth wall. It really breaks that I'm living and watching a documentary on someone's life. And this, when she's talking to me, it breaks that.
Yeah, I can totally get that. Mm-hmm. All right. So one of my notes on this was special effects. The very first imagery from the show, the very first
trailer,
we're gonna do She-Hulk and trailer of this and like drop of it. Yeah. I was like, she looks too cartoony.
Yeah.
And I think that I felt that way through the whole thing. The She-Hulk imagery herself just didn't, to me, look right. And I don't know what it was. I don't know if it's the green against everything. I don't know where this didn't work for me, but something about it. I got to accept it because I liked the show enough. But throughout it, she just doesn't. It looks like CGI to me.
Well, the first 2 episodes, you go, oh gosh, and then you watch it because then your mind tells you that's the way she looks. Like in your mind, it goes, okay, she looks CGI, but maybe she looks CGI in real life. Like maybe like in that world, they all look at her and go, you look kind of CGI. Right. Why is it, to me, this is my question on it, why is it that Bruce Banner, Smart Hulk, and Hulk and Abomination all look great?
Don't look that way.
And then she looked weird like that.
Why that? Kind of almost she's Roger wearing the Rabbit world.
I was wondering whether or not it's because she was wearing the business suit. If the business suit was too like,
maybe. Because it's funny, the first image they showed is like her leg stepping out with the high heel on. And that alone, the high heel looked real and her leg looked fake.
Well, I guess she's also not that much different. The way they make She-Hulk, and this is comic book related, is Bruce Banner goes from this tiny little scientist to this massive being, whereas She-Hulk goes from this tiny little woman to this slightly bigger woman in the same exact shape. She's just more muscular. And so and that's what they obviously did great about keeping that continuity to the comic books, but it almost does that like you said, maybe that's one of the reasons, because she isn't that much different. She's green, she's a little bigger.
Yeah, and she's not huge and completely.
Because Abomination is also huge.
Yeah, he's massive.
Also looks way better than the original Abomination in the movies.
I'm gonna have to go back and watch the whole.
Because he looks more like a comic book.
I was one of the few people who didn't have a problem with the Edward Norton Hulk movies. I didn't mind it. Didn't mind like the Abomination in it. I felt like in this, his facial features were very human still. It made it look like the actor as him.
But I mean, it's more the fins and the things is more comic accurate than the original one, which was just look like a blob of whatever. So
that's
I like that transition into it. I do love the fact that they called back on it, because let's be honest, Paul, how much does the Marvel Cinematic Universe or people in general call back to the 2008 Hulk film? Like, it's one of those ones that people kind of forget about. And the fact that it's not even on Disney Plus because it's distributed by Universal. And so they don't even have it on there. So it's like this weird, like, people always go back and go, yeah, you don't have to watch that. Plus it's Edward Norton.
You know what I mean? Mark Ruffalo.
Yeah, so you have that difference.
We come to accept Mark Ruffalo as the Hulk in our MCU, but they're still saying that was him. Which is... it definitely creates some strange.
And if anybody doesn't know, the reason why we haven't got much Hulk stuff other than in Avengers movies and Thor Ragnarok and stuff like that is because Universal still, I think it's forever, owns the distribution rights for anything that's solo Incredible Hulk based. So if Mark Ruffalo stars as the Incredible Hulk in an Incredible Hulk movie, Marvel can make the movie all they want, but when they sell it and you buy it on a DVD or it goes to a theater, all that money basically goes to Universal Studio or Universal Pictures because they own the distribution rights to it. So Marvel has been able to like work around that system by adding him in. Like Thor Ragnarok was like a 50% Thor movie, 50% Hulk movie. And this in She-Hulk, because She-Hulk's not in that conversation. So She-Hulk, she can have her own thing. Let's throw Incredible Hulk in there so that you have some more Hulk. Obviously the Avengers, things like that.
So now are we going to do Scar? Is that going to be the thing?
Well, that's my thought. Is it, so the final episode, the final thing we heard, yes, in the final episode we find Scar out, right? Incredible Hulk comes back from Sakaar and says,
also not a fan of the way he looks.
No, me either. Why they don't give him the long, he's a fierce
warrior guy.
And I like the picture, the drawings of him with like the hair flapping in front of his, like with the wind and all that stuff. And this guy looks like he's going bald. But also they made it look like he shaves the front of his head too. Not even just like his hair is back there. Like you can see a 5 o'clock shadow across his forehead. It's weird.
I saw the image again. actually this morning.
Yeah,
and it was
it's weird.
weird.
I hope they use that. He didn't say anything. It was quick.
It was
Hope
just
they focus away from that and never. But like your question, that question, I wonder if we get a World War Hulk movie,
right?
and it's called Scar:
Right.
World War Hulk,
World
so
War
that it's
Hulk.
not a Hulk movie, but it includes Hulk in it. It's
Right.
a Scar movie or Scar show or special
Right.
presentation. But we'll see. It's interesting to see that. I do like the introduction of Scar. I think to me personally, we have this peaceful, Zen Bruce Banner, smart Hulk, Professor
Right.
Hulk thing that I kind of want the fierce
Yep.
Hulk back again.
That is, I do not like that Hulk. I don't like that Hulk in books. I didn't like that Hulk in Endgame. I want the Bruce Banner. I want the Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde. I want him out there, and then that moment when
So I think that my theory
I want him to
is
look
that,
up and his eyes green, and that's what to me the Hulk character is. And so I love like Immortal Hulk, where he's terrifying and angry, and he's a nightmare, and he comes out at night, and that's what I want. Like that.
Well, I think this is my theory is that what we're going to get. We're going to get that with Scar and some sort of relationship. It's going to break Bruce Banner. And
right
yes, it's going to do something where it's going to make him not an evil person, but more of the anti-hero in the sense that he is the person that they have to send in the comic books off to Planet Hulk, the Greg Pak's Planet Hulk series about sending him, the Illuminati sending him off Earth. And those, obviously we're not going to get that again because that's basically what Thor Ragnarok was. But we'll get, I do have a strong feeling that at some point we'll get a World War Hulk, which is the second part of that. And we'll see how that works on that set, how it connects, because obviously the reason why he comes back to Earth in World War Hulk to fight and fight the Illuminati, because he thinks the Illuminati blew up a ship which killed his wife and the mother of his child.
Right. They caused the they ended he had this happiness going. Mm-hmm. He finally had peace in all of his forms. He had happiness. He had a wife. He had a baby. He was going to be happy then that they caused.
So now they're both on Earth. Scar in the comic book makes Earth his home as well, and then he's a formidable opponent basically because the relationship between the two of them wasn't great.
Right.
Does now Hulk? They're already here. So there's no reason for Hulk to come back because obviously he already came back at some point. But does something happen in the relationship between him and his son that causes him to go crazy, and then like the government does something to Scar? And then he has to go after the government, like that. That's the World War Hulk.
It'd be interesting to see where we're going to get, because the first thing is in She-Hulk was the ship attack.
Yep.
So something obviously is going to go on to this to have some sort of enemy, some sort of attack, because it went right off the bat with it. And then he's just back. It's like, hey, by the way. Yeah. As we're jumping from episode around.
Well, it's to say with these overall, like I've listened to podcasts that do every episode by episode, and like IGN does like a review of every episode, and I thought that's a good way to do it. But I feel like they're designed in a sense that you're supposed to watch it episodic, so you get like the what's going to happen next week kind of thing. Less likely in a comedy than I am in some more of the drama or action ones. Right. But you're also, it's still 9 episodes, so that's 270 minutes long. Yeah. It's a one long movie in my sense. So my thought is the entire season is an encapsulated thing. And so when we talk about it, you're talking about a movie. Sometimes you do it linearly, but like sometimes you just jump around. And I think that's okay to do in these kind of things too, because there's so much going on in this. Things I noticed, Paul. Ready?
All right, here we go.
Product placement.
Yeah.
Was more accurate in this, but I don't know. And it was on purpose, because of the fact that it's like a 30-minute sitcom, and you see that more in the sitcoms to kind of pay for it. So it was like, the Cheetos one, and I believe there's a Red Bull one. And the other thing I didn't like at all, it turned me way off, was the introduction of Megan Thee Stallion. That to me was more of a turnoff than breaking the fourth wall too much. Like to me, it was like, why? Like, tell me why Megan Thee Stallion was there. She was in an episode and she's twerking. And that's it.
That's
like,
it.
I understand trying to get younger audiences and all that.
Right.
I just seemed weird to me. Like it seemed like a very weird connection.
it'd be interesting, and I haven't researched any of this. Like, is she an MCU fan?
That's also
go
possible
to them
too.
and
I
want to
don't
be a
know.
part of it? Like,
Probably not.
which would be interesting. That'd be cool. But that's like who knows, right? Yeah, no, that was definitely odd. And being like I'm 40,
Yeah.
you know, and my wife was like, "Are we supposed to know who that was?" And I'm like, "I guess the music playing. I'm assuming she's part of that." Like,
and then twerking and like all that stuff. To me, it was like they tried to the show was empowering women and saying that women can do things,
yes,
and then that seemed like it distracted from it.
Belittled it.
Yeah.
Like, but who knows?
Not that I'm 36. We're older white men that we really have any idea what the women's minds.
What would our opinions in any of this matter? Exactly. Coming from a 40-year-old white man, I feel like it belittled it.
And I did like
my opinion does not matter at all.
Exactly. And in the way of, I mean, they did intertwine it in the legal aspect that she's her lawyer. Right. That does make sense, and I do like that it's a legal comedy, so there is this legal aspect. The She-Hulk trademark thing was kind of funny.
I like
happens
that.
in real life.
I love that beginning that it was brought to you by She-Hulk, brought to you by Tatiana.
Titania.
Yeah. Titania. So for first episode, I had I felt like there was too much Hulk.
Yes.
To me, it was too much Hulk. Watching it, I was like, is this just? I didn't get roped in. I didn't feel hooked because I was like, all right, what am I looking at here? Are we just watching a Hulk show? Like, where is this thing going? Because it was just too much Hulk.
Yeah.
They're on the island. They're off on their own.
Then they made the comment. She made the comment in the show, the car when she's talking off to the camera, breaking the fourth wall about cameos, about Wong, Tim Roth coming in there, Bruce Banner coming in there. I thought that was kind of funny. It's like, this is not going to be a cameos in every episode, and then she just starts listing off the people. She's like, well,
yeah. So you end up with Daredevil, which by the way I love.
But other than the too much Bruce Banner in the first episode or first couple episodes, other than that, I thought every other amount of cameo points in this thing were perfect.
I wholeheartedly agree.
I mean, the Tim Roth and the connection behind that makes sense. And the fact that she had to like basically say, Bruce, this guy tried to kill you, and now I have to defend him in court. And the aspect of you have to defend some people you don't agree with.
You don't. It's your job. As a lawyer, that's your job, and you may not like that. That's what you are stuck with.
The Wong being a completely different Sorcerer Supreme than Doctor Strange is also kind of funny, where like he's kind of like absent-minded, like doing this as like I'm clocking in and doing the job.
It's sort of definitely goofy, you know what I mean? You get in that the girl, I can't remember now. So many people were like, that's my new favorite MCU character.
Madison.
Yes.
It was a why, not where you think.
Not what you think. And having her in it. And then the fact that they're like friends, like, hi, Wongers. Because when I looked, I'm like, oh, God, he must be like super annoyed by her. No, he's not. He actually does spend time with her and watches TV with her. And like they drink and eat junk food. Like, so it was funny. And I enjoyed that with Wong, where he's not Doctor Strange. And he's not like he was in the first introductions of him in Doctor Strange, where he's so serious. So serious all the time in the first Doctor Strange movie, and that's all you've ever really seen of him. So it was fun to get this more depth to him, that he's kind of a goofball.
Well, here's my question about Wong to you. I believe prior or phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, I think Black Widow was in more movies than anybody else, like in like
I would say
Wong is definitely taken over that. Wong has taken over that now, right? Like Wong's been in everything. It seems
he's popping up constantly.
Like just a couple quick things here and there, but it seems like it's the Marvel Cinematic Universe of Wong at this point. Like, come to find out, 30 years from now, we're gonna realize that just like the droids were actually the Star Wars main characters, that Wong is the actual main character. And seeing him in like, did you? I mean, obviously we knew about this ahead of time, but like, if you said She-Hulk, none of us were like, "Oh, Wong's gonna be in that." Like, the fact that they've connected Wong in there, and had the whole,
and I thought the ties in for the MCU were great. I thought it was good. They did a good job with it. I agree with you. And it felt after we got through the amount of Hulk that we had, the rest of them I found were well placed, and I really enjoyed. And it did give me I wonder who will be on here next week. Like,
it not even just cameos. I guess it would be considered a cameo, like we talked about cameo versus first appearance in comic books, is the B-list characters that had a Deadpool 2 vibe where you like bring in these characters that don't
For
mean
just a couple
anything, or
minutes.
just to put them in there, just to have them, and a Peacemaker TV show kind of thing where like you focus on some B characters that no one really cares about, but someone has a passion for and puts it in there.
Everybody has a favorite character, and somewhere this obscure character is this person's favorite.
And so someone must have had fun. The idea of like being able to bring in some of these leapfrogs and things that like
I love leapfrog.
You never ever would have. I would have put millions of dollars ever think that leapfrog would be into something for the MCU.
Perfect example. So I read the original Daredevil comics. I read the essential of them all. I loved it. I don't know why. I just love it. I love the weird. He has like his original cast of villains remind me of like the Flash's villains that are all goofy, and like when they made a figure of Leapfrog, I had to have it. I have a Leapfrog figure. So many people I'm sure bought that because they had to, because it had to build a figure piece. Well, I bought it because I just wanted Leapfrog. And when he came on, I'm like, oh God, I hope that's Leapfrog. Like, and my wife's like, who is this?
Well,
and I'm like, it's great, and he's an idiot. Like it was terrific because the guy was.
And the only reason they're defending him is because his dad is actually the one that's wealthy, and he's a good client. And,
yeah, they have a choice to take
the
him
spoiled
on.
brat son kind of aspect of the story, and
how this guy got all of these idiots to work for him. I mean, purely just the money.
Money, obviously, yeah.
Yeah, it was just the money, but he armed them up, and they're all trying to do. I love how they all have like frog gimmicks. They're supposed to have the tadpoles and like all this, and the tadpole 1 and tadpole 2. And Daredevil, of course, is just mowing through them when he gets there. Like he's just taking all their.
Well, that's the thing. I feel like the Daredevil part of this is a conversation having a second here, because I want to say that the last thing I want to say about this whole like B character kind of thing too is we know that if you take and as a comic book fan and watching MCU or reading comic books or any of these things, you want to believe for a small moment in your life that this is real. That you want to believe that this is a story about a nonfiction story out there. The funny thing about Leapfrog and some of these other B characters that you see in here doing these things is if the MCU was a real life thing, there would be
these people would exist.
Low rate mutants, people with powers, people with superheroes, people with gadgets. That the She-Hulk comedy aspect of it, and hopefully with Deadpool 3 potentially too, is introducing some of these characters that wouldn't be a Captain America or an Iron Man level. There are out there. There's some. And the introducing it in a comedy, in a half an hour comedy, and not focusing a ton on them, but having them be part of the characters. Like who was it? Who was the indestructible? Mr. Immortal.
Oh yes.
Having that and having a whole episode on that. But like these characters exist.
He has all of these ex-wives.
And there's shitty, some of them are shitty people, but you just end up, okay, cool, move on. Like this is the perfect venue for that. I think that no other show so far could have done that like this one, able to do it.
No, it was great because of the legal aspect of it. Mm-hmm. They could come in and leave, and you got to see a lot of the villains, their minor villains, whatever. I will say, the Wrecking Crew, I thought was too fast for being what is one of She-Hulk's major villains.
Yeah.
They were in and out very quick. It was kind of corny. They didn't look great on screen, which might be some of it anyways, is not gonna. There are certain characters that you take from a comic book and you put into a show, and they're just not gonna look good.
No. Yeah.
And this was some of it, but I felt like it was kind of sad that in the actual comics, the Wrecking Crew is probably one of She-Hulk's major villains that she faced, and they definitely just didn't do them right on that. They definitely were just a quick, corny joke. I mean, she just kicked their asses. They weren't even But anyways, that was my quick other note of like, that was too bad.
So Daredevil, okay?
Daredevil.
So one of the greatest Netflix and Marvel shows ever to be created was his first season of Daredevil. I will say that right now. It was MCU at one point.
I loved all seasons.
Canon at one point, not canon at one point, canon at one point. Now it's on Disney Plus. All that stuff. But so they introduced Charlie Cox as Matt Murdock in No Way Home, right? In Spider-Man No Way Home, he came in there, so we saw him as Matt Murdock. You didn't see him as Daredevil,
but you catch his powers, catches that brick there.
But so you don't see him as it. So one of the great things about the Daredevil TV show on Netflix was the fact that he did not go by Daredevil the entire first season. Like he was just the devil of the night. People talked about him. He didn't call himself Daredevil.
The devil of Hell's Kitchen.
The best thing I loved about that is the fact that you wouldn't just immediately come up with a name for yourself.
The first thing you're doing is not coming up with a name, a costume, and a gimmick.
No. So I love that.
You're not like Leapfrog. You're not sitting there making all this and trying to brand yourself first.
But what I love about this is that they just did it. He's Daredevil, and supposedly it's the Daredevil Born Again is going to be he's like basically what they I thought that they said is the Daredevil Netflix shows don't exist in the MCU anymore. They're on Netflix or Disney Plus because they own the shows and you can watch them. But like in a sense that like this is not the Daredevil that happened in that show. And so with that being said, is I love how they just went and said no, he's Daredevil. Like he's just Daredevil. He had the different color suit. The fact the person who made She-Hulk suit is the person who made his suit. All of that makes sense to me, and I love it. And I love when she goes something about like, "Oh, I'm sorry, the person that with the word devil in their name wasn't the bad guy." I assume that the guy with the word devil in his name wasn't the bad guy.
The devil was the bad guy, yeah.
And the fact that he reveals herself like to like she pulls his hood off immediately. And sees him, and they know each other, and they have a relationship. I like the idea that lawyers having relationships. I think they're a cute couple.
She obviously had a crush on Matt.
Yes. I love the jokes she's making to him too, like all the sleeping with jokes and all that stuff.
Yeah,
she kind of gets around.
Yeah, she does. Yeah, yeah, good for her. She does. Yeah.
But no, that Daredevil. I thought we were gonna get another like Daredevil Netflix scene with the hallway, kicking everybody's ass, and it was there, but it wasn't
you got, and then she's just like boom.
Yes,
which is funny because that's how it would be like, and here he is. I think. Maybe doing a little bit of that chauvinist, like, oh, the man will go in and take care of the problems here. Mm-hmm. And then she's like, screw this. Like, I'm 3 times the hero you are as far as ability. Just like, yes, he's amazing, martial artist and all this. And she's just like, Hulk smash, like, done, problems up. Like,
and we heard he was going to be in the show, so I'm glad it was more than just end of Star Wars, Last Jedi, where you see Luke Skywalker for like 10 seconds at the end of the movie, and that was it. And you're like, what the hell? Yeah. This was like, okay, we know Matt Murdock's going to be in this show, and it wasn't like that scene where he comes in as the lawyer for the for what's his name? Is it Luke?
I think so. Yes, yeah, the guy that makes the
and that was like, then we're like, oh, okay, just like Spider-Man, he's just going to be a lawyer and he's going to move on. And then we actually see him in the Daredevil costume and actually fighting crime and actually doing things. And when he jumps off the building, she's like, okay, that's cool.
Yeah,
that's cool. Okay, I can see it now. That's cool.
And I like how he talks about like how he's doing things and going through taking these guys out and not causing property damage. She's like destroyed half, and she's like, "I'll leave a note." Like,
and like calls back to that multiple times. Like, you're the one that destroyed half of a building. And
he threw a car at me. Like,
and they're talking back and forth about the legal stuff. He's like, wait, is he a lawyer too? He's like, no, I'm just a big fan of legal drama.
Yeah.
That stuff was all great. I thought that was that's the Marvel-esque, MCU-esque comedy that I liked, but they were able to do it in a show where like, okay, you're expecting that. Yes.
Yeah.
And so that was great. And I thought that was all perfect with Daredevil. The ending. Okay. So Daredevil was excellent. High positive. I don't think there's anything bad about Daredevil. There was no butts on Daredevil. I don't think.
Him walking down the street with the boots.
And then there was someone doing a guy dressed up in a devil costume doing the walk of that was you.
That was you.
And then also, did you catch that they played the Daredevil song from?
No, I missed that.
When he shows up for the very first time in the parking lot with his costume on, you hear the background music from the Daredevil intro card from Netflix.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah,
that's
cool. I was like, okay, cool. That's an awesome song too.
That's awesome.
Hallway fits. So we've talked all those things. Anything else about Deadpool or not Daredevil? I mean,
no, I think it covers it. He looked great. Okay. It was great. I personally love Daredevil's character, anyways.
Yes, and I think Charlie Cox is one of my favorite. Great.
Yes, and
great
Charlie
casting.
Cox is Daredevil.
Like,
100%.
So season finale there, Paul.
Oh,
I feel like they did so well. Like I said, someone said there were some good things at the very end that capped off a mediocre season with a unique episode. I would say.
I felt like, and it's funny because I saw so much that saved the season. I enjoyed the season and thought the finale was a huge letdown.
Small amount of breaking the fourth wall would have been funny. I honestly thought that if you're going to break the wall that far, the whole Disney Plus thing where she climbs out the thing, goes to the next thing. Okay. That's pretty funny. But they're having a conversation with something named Kevin.
Yeah.
Again, quick call to that saying that that's the person in charge. haha,
Right.
funny. We all know Kevin Feige is in charge.
Right. But
But it being some sort of AI thing was
going
weird.
so long.
Yeah.
So it reminded me of Deadpool Kills the Marvel Universe, where I was having fun of him taking out all these characters, and then at the end he crawls through a panel and he goes to take out the artist, and it became like, for me, it was a little too much. To see it on screen, it was another one of those things I don't think transitions well. So when it went on screen and she's popping out of my Disney Plus thing, like out of my home screen, I'm like, I'm not vibing with this. Like, it's just, I didn't.
I feel like it could have been a short. You know, like how they used to do those like one shots.
Oh my god, that would have been great for it.
That would have been funny, just a quick, does not
but
canon, just
not
fun.
the season finale. Yeah,
and
to me, it made it left me with a bad taste in my mouth to the series over like wanting more.
And I understand what they're like. The funny thing, the guy took the serum, became another Hulk.
Yeah,
Bruce Banner comes and saves all this other stuff. The idea of writing that she wants it to be different is great, but I felt like they spent so much time on wanting it to be different than actually making it different. Like if you did a quick thing where she met with the writer's room really quickly, like she didn't crawl for the thing. If she just happened to like see her like a montage of her flying,
walk off set.
Like flying, exactly. Just walk off set, go to the writer's room, and go no, and they quickly, and they go back and they
World ending.
And they go back and change it, and it's the new ending. But I felt like the 35-minute episode, it was like 15, 20 minutes of it was just her talking to Kevin in her room.
Fourth wall. Yeah.
And then it basically ended.
It didn't, it felt like all of a sudden it was like, oh, now she's just sitting here. Like it didn't feel complete.
Yes.
The episode was so broken by that fourth wall thing that I didn't actually enjoy it. I like the idea of Hulk showing up and her being like, all right, no, wait a minute, I'm not going to get rescued by a guy. Like, I don't.
And she could have just said it and he disappeared.
Him. Yeah.
Because of the fourth wall part of it, like nothing really matters. So you could just say, no, you can't save this. And he just disappears and he's not in the story anymore.
Yeah, exactly. Like, let's not do this whole I'm being rescued by my cousin thing. Like,
however,
great, but I did not enjoy that season finale at all. I was
keep talking.
Okay. I was all excited for the season finale because I did start really enjoying the show. Like I said, I got to a point, my wife and I were watching it every single episode drop, and we're like, all right, the last one, let's go. And I was very disappointed with the way that ended. In the over the top fourth wallness, it did ruin the whole episode.
Okay, so my question to you: does the value of this comic book go up? Do you know what this comic book is?
Oh God, help me out.
Can you read that?
The first Kevin Feige.
So Kevin Feige's in this book.
Okay.
So now he's now technically been on
he's technically
the MCU.
Canon in I'm sure Key Collector will list it.
It's a hot or a spec comic book right now, but it's only $4. Oh, by the way, that other book the one that you just priced on Saturday, are now up to 18.
Oh wow, look at that go! Well, you can get it right now for 8 at Galactica.
There's three. You can get 3 for 27. Actually, you know what? Paul will probably do 3 for 25. Sign up right now. Go get it.
Look at that. Yep.
But the Kevin thing is funny. Like, and here's the other part about it is you had this. We talked about how approachable the first 8 episodes were to non-MCU fans, and then you go into the 9th episode where like my wife knows because of me, but like I'm sure her sisters watch the show, or my Taylor's aunt who watches Nova. Who the hell is Kevin? There's no reference to it. To us, also, it kind of like paid homage to Herbie.
Yep.
And so like you have this Marvel acronym style computer thing that we get from Fantastic Four or with Jarvis, being a computer in the MCU. But you have to know who Kevin is to get the joke.
You get it. And the only thing is seeing the Kevin Feige at the beginning of every episode, the end of every episode, the credits. That's all you're gonna get. Like,
but even that though,
it's
like
get it, you're not gonna understand that reference. That was
and that breaking the fourth wall ruined the idea of the unbelievable opening scene.
Yeah.
Of the let's go pay homage to original Hulk TV show with that original Hulk, Savage Hulk.
Yeah.
Beginning in Lou Ferrigno style TV show.
That was neat. That was fun.
And
I enjoyed that.
That was fun because it's like, okay, haha, this is pretty funny. Anybody would know. Our parents would know very easily that this is on TV. And then now you go to the point where you have this Kevin thing, which is supposed to pay like a fan service thing, which I'm a huge Kevin Feige fan. I think he's one of the greatest people to create a universe in the history of mankind. But make a reference to him by breaking the fourth wall, do something funny with it. But the whole Kevin robot thing threw me off, and I think that's what's going to be
her going to his office. Hey, come on, we got to talk. Great.
And having him physically be in the show would have been better.
And then rewind it like old school VCR, and then restart from the point that she wanted to restart at. Would have been okay, good, I'm happy, that's enough. It became the whole episode was that. I don't feel like the season actually got wrapped up. I don't even know what happened.
I don't remember
the big season finale of catching the bad guy and all that, which in a superhero world is the major focus. You've got to catch the villain. You want the bad guy caught. You want those moments maybe at the end credits where you're like, oh, he's going to come out. He's going to get back. Oh, he has a connection to so-and-so. Now we see Doctor Doom talking to this schmuck. Something, I don't know. Whatever it is, it gives you the big villain thing. And instead, I don't even know what the hell happened.
Have her go into his office or go into the writer's room. Not even his office. Go in the writer's room. Like, what the hell are you guys doing? Change this to rewind a little bit. Change it. And at the very end, the post-credit scene could have been her going into Kevin's office being like, thank you for actually giving me the show that I wanted. Yada, 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 yada. Like walking off set. And Kevin Feige actually being there, like him on screen, and now we're like supposed to like, this algorithm AI computer creates the MCU. I think it would have been more funny to actually have physical Kevin Feige in it.
Would have been better. And the Brian Michael Bendis with the mic drop.
Yes. So that was what struggled the most in that final episode. Breaking the fourth wall too much. However, it somewhat was redeemed by the introduction of Scar, and so that's the thing. So long lost son. But
then he was a huge to me. Okay, Thor: Love
and
Thunder.
Who it is? It's what's
Thor:
his
Love
name
and Thunder. We get Hercules, and to me, they're like my son, and it goes him, and I'm like, that guy's not Hercules. Like, are you serious? Like, Leapfrog would kick this guy's ass. Like, this is Hercules. I don't think so. Like, not seeing it, not buying it. I'm not like no. Like, and then this is Scar. Like,
yes.
This guy looks like he works at Gap.
Yeah, like, exactly. But here's the big thing, Paul.
This is not the warrior, angry.
So we had some big surprises over the past couple of years in things that were like, oh my God, I can't believe that wasn't leaked, right? In movies in general, it's been great. This has got to be up there with me, that the fact that I did not see this coming though.
Nope.
Like no matter what he looked like, it was like, I wasn't like, oh yeah, Scar's probably going to be in this. Like I never thought that they would go. I mean, they already did the Planet Hulk
which is
thing,
funny,
so why would they?
I should have seen that with right off the introduction of the ship and the attack from,
and then saying I've got to go to Scar to do this thing. It's long lost business.
Yeah,
we didn't, and I didn't see it. And my brother texted me right afterwards. He's like, "Oh my God!" And I'm like, "Yeah, it's cool." He goes, "He doesn't look cool, but like he's so excited for the storyline of Scar that I am too. That like that's a cool."
Well, I mean,
cool
Planet Hulk is one of my all-time favorites, as we've discussed before. One of my all-time favorite story arcs in all of comics. So the fact that we're referencing into that is terrific.
I read an article this morning about, is it possible that World War Hulk, Scar, all this other stuff, bigger Hulk Scar plans is part of New World Order? That like Captain America New World Order is going to be more like a Civil War kind of movie, where it's like going to be like somewhat of an Avengers movie where there's actually going to be more people in it than you expect. And the New World Order is something about Sam Wilson's Captain America fighting and protecting United States Earth from Hulk and his destroying, pissed off at something because he did something to Scar. So that's be interesting. Awesome. The other thing is, it's possible we don't get much and we just get a season 2 of She-Hulk.
Right.
And that the Scar that we're going to get. I
would watch, at the end of this, that whole like, really enjoyed this, but I would watch season 2. Like, I would happily watch season 2.
What if Scar is more like Hulk's toned down and not the warrior that Scar is supposed to be? If he's in season 2 of She-Hulk, a comedy, you think he's going to go buck wild? So that's my question.
He's going to be, finishing his shift at Cap. He's going to be,
So I would like to see him the fierce, scary, and maybe you don't leave Hulk the way he is. Doesn't show up
at a family barbecue.
Yeah, exactly. Leave Hulk the way he is in this like lovable character right now for Heart Hulk. Give him a bear hug and make Scar the villain of the Hulk family. Then I can understand where they're going with that too. But like, I don't know. I'm afraid of a season 2 with Scar being part of it. that makes him more lovable and like this like cool like teenager that skateboards on the street and stuff like that. Like
yeah, he turns into Michelangelo.
If there is a season 2, which I would sign up for, of She-Hulk, make it She-Hulk. Don't have Bruce Banner be in it at all.
Nope. We had enough
Daredevil.
Bruce.
Daredevil is more than welcome to be in it. I think that relationship with 2 of them is great.
I'd love to see
throw some more B
cameos.
characters. Yes, B characters in there. Other characters that we haven't seen in a while.
And like
Justin
you said,
Hammer.
She's defending these people. Oh God, yeah, Justin Hammer.
Imagine she defends Justin Hammer as
you could have like you could have an AIM. Like little bundle, like a little horde of AIM people that she runs into. Like, I don't know. There's all kinds of different things like that you could have her drop into that you either legally she's dealing with or she like gets caught into in a longer scheme. Like that would be a great one. Is she goes to represent some schmuck. You find out where this technology's come from, and then oh crap, there's a terrorist organization hiding here, and that's her ultimate enemy she's dealing with. But at the same time, while she's She-Hulk dealing with that, she's at work dealing with another idiot that's, pick your obscure bad character that's done something they shouldn't have. And she's trying to defend them and their.
See, I'm all for Justin Hammer returning because Sam Rockwell is one of the actors that hasn't got enough screen time in the MCU that I wish
I thoroughly enjoy him as Justin Hammer. He's sleazy. He's slimy. I want to see more of his character and I want to see him get it. Like, I love him there, and I love the moment, like, when he gets it, because he leaves you wanting.
There's a strong possibility he's going to be in the Armor Wars movie. So like we are going to probably see him in that. But can you reintroduce him kind of like you did with Sam Rockwell in this thing? Because he also has a comedy aspect to him. Sam Rockwell's Justin Hammer. So like have that jokey kind of like
screws up half the stuff he touches.
He defends
and it's always like cheap, right? Like low quality. Yeah, you know what I mean? It's like It's like ordering from Wish and what you thought you were getting. Yes. Like those like memes of it, you know. I ordered this from Hammer Industry and it shows like the Iron Man suit, and then when you get it,
it's like, a toy Iron Man, not the actual Iron Man suit.
The costume is actually plastic, and like
it's one of those cloth like pajama suit things. You don't actually get the
old thing. The old Halloween costumes with the tie on and the plastic mask, and you're like, all right, I'm going out to fight crime.
So yeah, I mean, Justin Hammer, you heard it here first. He's coming in season 2 of She-Hulk.
There we go.
No background information on that at all. There's no facts. There's no information, no inside information. Justin Hammer, season 2 of.
Can you imagine if somewhere someone in the MCU is listening to this podcast and then goes, "Those two morons have a bad idea. Like, let's run it."
So again, it was worth a show. It was worth. I like the idea of them jumping into the comedy. I don't know who else. I mean, obviously Deadpool's getting his own movie, so that's gonna be a comedy. But who else doing comedy? I don't know. I'd like to see some more things like that. A what if episode or a show of Deadpool killing the Marvel Cinematic Universe would be kind of funny. Maybe an animated in that aspect of the what if cartoon stuff. But I do think some comedy is needed to break up some of the stuff. You get this. Always action, always sad.
Moon Knight. It was so serious all the time.
Yeah,
it was so serious, and then it was so bizarre. Like, here and there and elsewhere, and I just did not end up following it or enjoying it. I know some people did. Great. I didn't. Like, I heard that they're doing season 2. I don't know if I didn't finish season 1, so I probably won't watch season 2.
Yeah.
You know. Meanwhile, I would happily go watch another season of She-Hulk. I had fun with.
And She-Hulk gives you that break too, that we're going into Black Panther next in the MCU, and Black Panther is going to be one of those. I do think it's going to be a really, really, it's going to be one of our favorites of the year, and it's going to be very depressing,
and it should be.
Yeah, it's to be heartfelt and all that stuff. So having this lighthearted thing going into that, and then following that is the Guardians of the Galaxy Christmas special or holiday special. So I do think that they did a great job of having the bumpers around Black Panther to let Black Panther take that brunt of the drama.
I felt like that was a great thing of the original Black Panther movie was that there isn't comedy in the Panther himself because the Black Panther is not a comedic character.
No,
he is all about justice and very how he represents the dead and how he's the keeper of them, and his world is very serious and protecting his country and all of these things. Black Panther is not comedic, which was nice, I think, for Suri to kind of have some of that. She made a bit of that enjoyable. I feel like it was hard knowing the comics that Shuri's not a comedic character. She is a
will she
badass.
be in this new one?
But,
That's the thing. Is I wonder if her mindset changes a little bit.
I would think that she like because it was good in the fact that she was a younger character. She was the little sister, and if with Boseman gone, if they're gonna have her as the main character of the Black Panther, the loss of her brother would change you.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. It would change a person, and I think it's a good way that you can easily mold her to being a very serious dark character.
Yes, and let's be honest, she's gonna be a Black Panther. People, you could be any, but it's gonna be Shuri. Yeah. Like I can't
see anyone else.
No matter what happens, Paul, someone's gonna be pissed off about the fact that.
Oh, I'm sure. Well, did you, Wakanda #1 dropped last week?
Yes, I haven't read it yet. Have you read it yet?
I have not read it. There's the variant cover that had Michael B. Jordan on it. Very much the in all Killmonger look. Yeah, Killgrave. The whole Killmonger look, and he's got like the Panther mask. And I just can't. I loved him. No. He was great in it. I can't see bringing him back as Panther.
It also ruins the end of the first movie.
Exactly. It would kill it. And we talked in here on Saturday about this, about how with the technology of Wakanda, this and that, he got stabbed through the heart. Oh, we brought him back. And maybe you have a moment where we need a hero to come back and they resurrect his body or something. I don't know, but I also can't see with the things he did in Wakanda and did to the country that people would think he would be the hero to bring back. No. Maybe in desperation, in an act of desperation.
See, in the future, we're not going to have to worry about this as much. Because in the future, people are going to be like Bruce Willis and sell their deep fake rights.
Right.
And we're just going to we're going to be able to end the story correctly the way that it's supposed to be ended when someone loses their life. Well, you texted me and we'll have a conversation about some other time. We talked about how there's been rumors out there of a specific ex-Star Wars character, current Indiana Jones character going to be out there hopefully as Thunderbolt Ross. And we're speaking of a very famous person.
Very. I feel like I would have a hard time not just seeing him as him on screen. Well, I don't know that I can buy that he's Thunderbolt Ross.
But my biggest point was he's not that young either. Harrison Ford, we're talking about if anybody has any questions. No, so my question is, you brought in someone that might also die before you finish his storyline.
You get anywhere with the storyline. No, absolutely.
I understand, obviously, people are going to be old. It's not like Thunderbolt Ross isn't a 25-year-old, but still, you're picking someone in their late 70s to be someone.
Perfect.
How about picking someone in
the Edward Norton movie? Yes. I like the person that played Thunderbolt Ross in. I thought he was great.
Yeah. So, but I mean, funny. Harrison Ford joining the MCU, I think is awesome. I'd rather have it be more like Ego. And have it be like a one and done somewhat thing, like a cameo of someone or something like that, where we're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this person's in the MCU, but then it's not an actual, there's a Thunderbolts movie. So you have to imagine that he's going to be a big part of the Thunderbolts movie.
Kind of needs to.
I mean, he creates the Thunderbolts. So but otherwise, a lot of stuff going on. So you'll end up hearing, I'm going to write something up. We won't talk about it, but we'll end up hearing a little bit about my long Halloween love or hate when that happens at the end of the month, because we'll do a book club post.
Yeah, we all know what this is.
I Hate Fairyland is our next book club thing. I can't wait for that. That's exciting on that. Some big books coming up. I just look through a lot of cool stuff coming up in the comic book world, so we'll get into that some other time too.
All kinds.
And we're getting towards the end of the year, Paul, where we're going to start picking our comic books of the year.
I know, a year.
And it's getting harder. It was funny for about 3 or 4 months there. It was like, It's getting harder and harder for me now to get to that list down, because what's really, really determined some of these is the second issues. So the first issues of a couple of books that came out the past month or two, I've been like, well, this has the opportunity to be like comic book of the year. And then if the second issue comes off and it falls off a little bit, it's going to immediately push it in one way or the other on that. But if it continues going, we'll see how it goes. But I've got a definite probably 5 for sure that are on that list. Otherwise, they're up for grabs. So, maybe they'll get pushed on it if the creators decide to come on the podcast and talk to me.
Oh, geez, that's nice.
Well, I mean,
if you want to make the list, this is what you got to do.
We got 4 creator, 2 individuals. We've got Jonathan Hedrick, who wrote The Recount. He's also writing a book called Dream Master that's coming out here pretty soon at Black Box. And then I've got Stephen Graham Jones, who wrote Earth Divers, coming on. And then 2 creative teams of the artist and the writer of Golden Rage, Chrissy Williams and Lauren Knight. And then Morgan Beam and Matt Klein, who wrote Crashing and drew Crashing, are also coming on 4 episodes in a row. So we've got some big creative teams coming out on the podcast, which is really fun. And I've also got Jeremy Hahn, who wrote The Approach, and also read.
Which the artwork of
The
Approach is fantastic.
Red Dawn? No, Red Wedding? No. Red Wedding, isn't that from Game of Thrones?
Yeah.
Hold on. I want to get this right because he's going to come on the podcast at some point. I've also reached out to Charles Soule.
Yes. Well, I don't blame you.
Red Mother. He wrote Red Mother for Boom as well. So he's hopefully going to come on too. And then Kai Patterson.
There's so many books to keep track of because I'm like, Red Mother, that sounds familiar, but I can't.
It's looked pretty good. I don't know. And I also started reading Revival. You had to give me the first trade of that.
I ordered Revival for the shop after reading the synopsis of it, and I don't know how. I mentioned this to Liz. I don't know how a season came out or a comic came out, a series that was 8 volumes of trade,
almost 50 issues.
Yeah, there's 8 trade paperbacks of it, and I'd never read it or really ever even heard of it, and it sounded fantastic. So I ordered the copy for myself and a copy for the shop.
I read the first issue digital because I bought it digitally. And to see, because you said it and I read the solicitation, I'm like, damn, I got to read this. And it's it's what, 10-year-old book, right? Came out 2012.
Right. Yeah.
And
it's gone to a new reprint that hasn't been in print for a very long time. And that was where I first saw it, was in my orders.
It's exciting. I'm excited to read more of it too, which is really cool because I got to have something that keeps me happy when I'm reading The Long Halloween.
Bias,
no, it's definitely
DC hatred bias.
Well, if DC wrote something good, I'd read it. So
they did. They wrote. You're reading.
I'm reading Nice House on the Lake, and I read Basket Full of Heads. Those are all DC, right? Oh, Why the Last Man?
It's just the worst.
It's Vertigo, right? DC. Is Why the Last Man released under Vertigo still, or is it under Black Label now?
It's under Black Label now. I do. Yeah, or it has a Black Label. I think it has a Black Label logo on the new prints of it.
So before we talk until 3:00 in the afternoon on this podcast, we should probably wrap it up. But Galactic Comics and Collectibles.com.
Galactic Comics and Collectibles.com. You can now get a link for our Galactic swag right now. You can order. I don't know if you can get you got your Galactic t-shirts, sweatshirts, hoodies are all up there. We are working on getting some Galactic hats down the line, so all kinds of good stuff.
These are available.
Yes.
On there.
7 Years of Darkness covers. I'm working on making mystery grab bags of comics, guaranteed to find some great stuff in them. They're not going to be like dollar bin books. You're going to find backstock. You're going to find keys, issue number 1s.
Yes.
Marvel ones are up now. We're going to be doing the DC and Indie as well, so you can choose what you're going to get. You're not just getting a hodgepodge. You get to choose your publisher. All sorts of good stuff.
You also can, if you see anything on the Galactic Comics BGR, right?
Yes.
On Instagram or the Galactic Comics Facebook page.
Yep.
If you see anything that he posts pictures of on there, message him on Facebook or Instagram or whatever, email them, go to the website, and you can purchase it from him online too.
Call me. I got a phone call last week that did that. Phone call last week. Hey, I'm looking for this comic book. Yeah, I've got it. Can I get all of them upcoming? Sure, no problem. How do I do this? We'll shoot you an invoice every month, just like we do with all of our Polish customers that are local, and your orders will go out to you. So, you can just call the store. We will take care of you. One way or the other, you will get what it is you're looking for. So, absolutely, email, Facebook, Instagram, social media. If it's not on the website, contact us, and we'll find a way to take care of you.
Put it on there, yeah, absolutely. So, until again, I'll see you this week. Again, we'll talk comic books and other stuff at the shop too. And if you're in the greater Bangor area, swing by.
Charles Soule did.
Fine. Yes, Charles Soule. If Charles Soule could stop by the Galactic Comics in Bangor, you can clock there. You should have had him record something for like the voicemail or something.
There was like a million things I wish I had done, but I didn't. I don't like being that person. Like I don't want somebody to be.
Well, here's the deal. If you had a shop in New York City, okay, I understand it. Dude, we live in Bangor, Maine.
We are in Bangor. So I didn't even get a picture with him because I didn't want to be like, can I get a selfie? I didn't want to. So, he signed the wall. I got a picture of that, of the wall.
Well, you should have just asked him if you could take a picture of him.
Him. Yeah.
In the shop next to the Galactic thing, or so you get it done. But Hey, you know what?
Yeah.
Next time someone famous comes in.
That was what Liz said. She's like, how many chances do you get at this? And I'm like, yeah, I know. But I also want anybody coming here because at the end of the day, right? I want them to have a good experience. I want them to have a fun time here. Wouldn't it be great if y'all shouted out, hey, I went to a comic store. I had a great experience.
So here's my question for you really quickly as we finish up. But I meant to ask you this on Saturday. Do you think that Charles or other people, we'll put Charles in there because he's the one that was there on Saturday, has a list of graphic novels, trades, or whatever comic books that he's looking for, and he does purposely buys them from local shops,
from small LCSs?
Because what did he buy? He bought Something's Called the Children,
Department of Truth. What's the furthest place from here? And
was regularly available online,
or was it? Oh yeah, I can't remember. Yeah,
readily available on
anywhere.
I hate to say Amazon, but Amazon, readily available on other websites and things like that. He lives in New York City. Readily available anywhere.
Yeah.
And he bought them from your shop. So he didn't go to your shop and buy a wall book because, I've been looking for that issue. He was looking for some Stephen King stuff, but he bought stuff that's readily available and it's new. Like it's just came out. And that to me is supporting LCS alone, not just whatever. I mean, it would be more beneficial for him to buy a wall book because it's, there's more profit in there. And the Mighty Thor #1 is sitting there waiting to be purchased.
Right.
But no, it was really cool to see that he bought stuff from your store that didn't need to be purchased at Galactic Comics.
I appreciated that too. Yes, absolutely. And hey, I mean, I'm sure he probably had a flight or whatever, and you got to have some good trades reads. So I appreciate the fact that he's grabbing trades and just like me is going to read those and I'm sure enjoy them because all of those are great series. Like,
I mean, floppies are better, but yeah. Hey, you don't complain. You make more money off.
I know. I make more on the floppies to sell the floppies. Yeah, I know. Right.
But yeah, no, you actually probably some of those you might actually not make more money. But
yeah,
we won't get into the whole logistics about Diamond and all that crap. But Galactic Comics in Bangor. This is Paul Eaton, guys. Watch She-Hulk. Get your own opinion on it.
Yeah, watch She-Hulk. Leave comments. What did you think of She-Hulk?
Yeah,
I'm interested to talk to people. I've had so many different. If anything else, the MCU made a show that has a lot of opinions about it.
And stop by the shop and complain to Paul in person.
Right. Yeah. These Marvel shows lately, I can't do anything about this. I'm sorry. I don't know what to tell you.
That's okay. No matter what the TV show came out to be, anything is better than DC. Have a good day, guys.